Cold weather advisories in effect starting tonight at 10 and lasting all the way through tomorrow morning at 10 for everywhere in the tri-state. Good Saturday evening. I'm meteorologist Erin Ashley in for Anna. We're seeing this dangerous cold stretch continue. The coldest morning that we saw so far, it ties a previous morning at -3. That's as low as we got this morning. But great news, tomorrow is not going to be that cold. It's still going to be very cold, cold enough for these guys out here, which watches, warnings, advisories. We just have the cold weather advisories, and we're going to be watching out for a few things with this. I mean, bitter cold wind chills down to 15 below possible. I think most of us will stay anywhere between -5 and -10. Again, that's just for the wind chills alone. Now, something that I do want to give you that attention to is going to be a little bit of flurries. I saw it driving into work not too long ago, but it's not being picked up on our radar very well at all. You can kind of see it right there. We do have better chances for snow moving into the next few weeks. I'd say that your weekend is still just going to look nice and dry. I mean, the snow we're seeing now is not amounting to anything. It's just enough to reduce visibility in spots. The big thing is going to be how cold it is, how cold it's going to remain. Something that we're going to be keeping an eye on, of course, is going to be those wind chills, not just in the mornings, but also the afternoons. But we'll unpack those first alert weather days coming up in just a few minutes. A very light breeze from the north is all we're seeing right now. Temperatures are being held very low this afternoon. We reached a high today of 16 degrees. That filtered sunshine kind of helping us out just a little bit. But as we work into your evening tonight, we're going to be seeing those temperatures bottom out near zero once again. And that's because we're still seeing that light breeze from the north. Something that's going to help us out, though, is going to be the cloud cover, because if we still see the clouds sticking around, which I think most of us will try our best, especially those north of Cincinnati, just with that northwesterly wind, that'll keep us from getting as cold as this morning. Still dangerously cold, though. And yeah, freezing fog is still possible. We've seen reduced visibility around the tri-state throughout the entire day. In freezing fog, you're like, why are we talking about this now? It's because we've got such a decent snowpack out there that even relatively warm temps, despite them being still very frigid, that's all it takes for fog to develop, especially some really dense fog right there by the surface. So, oh yeah, I've got a graphic for you guys. So getting you kind of into the weeds of it, we have very cold surfaces, just a slight warmer air mass moving on in. That's all it takes to develop some of that fog. But something that is different about freezing fog is that it's freezing. And so what happens, the water droplets that are suspended in the air, unlike normal fog, this will freeze upon contact with other objects that are also at or below freezing. So no, it's not going to freeze to you, but it could freeze to the grasses, the rooftops, trees. I've mainly seen it on trees, maybe some brushes as well, some bushes. And worst case scenario, this creates some icy patches out there on the roads. Of course, more traveled on roads will not see this just because ice takes a little bit to freeze, of course, but it'll make for some slick surfaces. Plus, not to mention, we see a refreeze every night with whatever is able to melt there on the roads. It will freeze over overnight. So treat any wet surface out there on the roads and sidewalks as if it were ice, because it very well is likely going to be ice. Now, as we step into tomorrow, who's most likely to see the freezing fog? Those in southeastern Indiana, and that's because we're seeing a little bit more clear skies out that direction. As we work into your Monday morning, my attention for freezing fog is going to be east of Cincinnati. Notice visibility going to take a hit, but again, the main concern with freezing fog is going to be that chance for some slick surfaces. The good news about the next few days, while we have the very cold temperatures, the freezing fog, we're at least nice and dry. I've adjusted this forecast a little bit since the morning, still eyeing Tuesday as our next best chance. I went ahead and dropped Monday a little bit more from a 20 to a 10. Still a few flakes in that forecast. You'll see it here on your weather timeline. Here's Monday's chance. Tiny little snow chance north of Cincinnati, and then better chances arrive on Tuesday. I'm not too concerned about that Tuesday morning commute yet. It could change. Keep checking on this forecast, of course, but right now it's been holding pretty steady for that arrival time in the mid-morning. So maybe us 9 to 5ers, especially those of us that are driving into town from the west side, maybe a few flakes flying around that time. But as far as accumulations go, that's not going to happen until around lunchtime. And then the heaviest moisture is going to be south of the tri-state entirely, which we rehashed this so much last weekend, and it's the same case for this. except definitely nowhere near the similar snowfall totals in this one. Storm track is everything. If we see this go any farther north, it would bring a little bit heavier snowfall totals with it. Maybe the chance for a wintry mix, depends on how far north it gets. But if this goes south, it brings the heavy snow with it, and we see lighter snow. As of right now, I'm not seeing any more than an inch, maybe an inch and a half, highest totals in northern Kentucky, and those north of Cincinnati could see less than a quarter of an inch. It's really not that impressive. However, it is enough for a first alert weather day, just because we have some fresh snow on top of all the mess that we still have on the ground from last weekend, which will impact how January was affected. All the numbers from January was affected by last weekend and this cold stretch as well. And then we do have a chance for some snow moving into next week's forecast. That's going to be on Friday, I should say the late week forecast. It starts as snow, depending on the timing, maybe seeing this come into a wintry mix to a rain, and then back into snow. Just, again, not looking too big on the snowmaker side. I'm not too concerned about that right now, but of course any accumulation, any snow, I should say, will make for some slick spots. And the timing is not too great as we head into the weekend, so just something to keep an eye on in your first alert extended forecast. We'll get to that in a second. These temperatures, high temperatures over the last few days have not even gotten into the 20s. And so tomorrow, while it is still bitterly cold, it's at least a step in the right direction for those of us that want that snow to melt. It's going to be a very slow melt though, because notice temperatures all the way through the next 10 days, these are the high temperatures, they're well below normal, close to 10 degrees below normal at their warmest, which looks like the warmest day is going to be Friday ahead of that snow chance, which if we see that snow chance get any earlier, that keeps temperatures from getting this warm, which means we could be in the freezer for a whole lot longer. We've already been in the freezer for over 200 hours. We're likely going to make a run at 400 hours straight below freezing. Here's your first alert extended forecast. First alert weather day tomorrow morning because of those cold weather advisories. In effect, that starts tonight at 10. It goes through tomorrow morning at 10 because of wind chills dropping as low as -15, but I think most of us will be from about -5 to -10. It's cold. No matter what the numbers are, it's cold. Make sure you're bundling up. Monday and Tuesday. So Monday's going to be a first alert weather day. I'm seeing it just mainly in the morning because we're coming off of such a very cold morning in the single digits. But with the snow chance dropping, I think the afternoon is going to be a little bit better, in the middle 20s. You'll probably notice it being a little warmer, but it is still quite cold. Tuesday, light snow is possible, a 30-degree high temperature. That's all dependent on the timing of the snow because we're seeing the arrival time in the mid-morning. If we see this delay a little bit, maybe we see and open up the door to 32. Who knows? But right now, with the timing all favoring the mid-morning through the midday, 30 degrees is as warm as we're going to get before we start cooling down into the midweek, which temperatures do bottom out on Thursday afternoon in the middle 20s. Again, those mornings and evenings are going to be a lot colder just naturally. And then we're watching out for that chance for snow on Friday. A little bit of light snow on next Saturday. Temperatures right around that freezing point. If all holds true, we're looking at a decent stretch below freezing, guys. Of course, I don't need to be the ones to tell you that. Everyone is feeling it. Okay, Jen's tuning in. Hi, Erin. Do you think we'll have some accumulating snow this week? I think we will. It's just not going to be too impressive at all. Minor accumulations. Joe's tuning in. There was snow today, but nothing was said about snow in the forecast. Yeah, absolutely. The models did a very bad job on picking up the snow. I definitely noticed it myself. Thankfully, the snow flurries that we had today in our forecast, we picked up on some lighter flurries earlier in the morning, but that just extended into the afternoon. Not seeing any accumulation with it, but yeah, enough to say that it happened. Lisa's tuning in. She says, right. Montgomery says, thanks much. Of course. Happy to be here. And Scott's tuning in. Good evening, Erin. Good evening to you as well. Today is January 31st, which means we're wrapping up a whole month of 2026 so far. So here's a bunch of numbers just for fun. The hottest day, hottest temperature that we had in January was back on January 9th at 67 degrees. It actually rained that day. I've been so used to the cold temperatures and the snow that I'm like, did it even rain in January? Yes, it's just that the second half of January was so bitter cold with that snowstorm pulling on through as well. The coldest temperature reading at CVG was -3 on the 28th, and this morning they tie for the coldest mornings. And I checked As far as the records go, a -3 is nowhere near a record. Snowiest, 9.2. That was the snowiest day in January of 2026, was on the 25th, which of course was this last Sunday, so a week from tomorrow. To no surprise at all. Our average temperature was 26.5, and so that makes for the 31st coldest January on record. Out of 155, that puts us easily in the top 1/5. And then, of course, snowfall itself, 10.7. Most of that, 10.2, all but half of an inch of snow fell within 2 days, and it was last weekend. And that put us into the top 25 for snowiest Januaries on record. If you can believe that, I had to check my numbers like 3 times. I needed to make sure. I was like, really? Yeah, no, absolutely. 25th snowiest January on record out of 155 years on that record. Okay, so how many hours have we been below freezing? This many, 217, below 32 degrees. We haven't been above since 5 o'clock on January 22nd, which, reminder, that wasn't this last Thursday, but a week prior. And we're likely not going to get above freezing if our forecast holds until this upcoming Friday. So that will make for 15 days straight below zero. We'll let you know if that changes, of course, but the dangerous cold does just continue here all the way through the final days of January into the first few days of February, which, yeah, February is typically one of the snowier, the colder months anyways that we see. Typically, January isn't as much of a snowmaker, but the last couple of years in Cincinnati has proven otherwise. So we'll see what everything, or how this all is affected, or is affecting, I should say, the outlook for February, which I do have some maps to show you guys as far as this Climate Prediction Center goes, giving you that first alert into February, because I showed you the first like 7 or 8 days on your 7-day forecast, and temperatures are well below average, and it looks like the following week isn't better at all. In fact, those temperatures for much of the eastern U.S. are going to be below normal. Now, that's the average temperature, so maybe we'll see some warmer days combined with even colder days, but we're leaning colder on average. And then as we look at how much precip to expect, so that's how much rain, how much snow, maybe a little bit of both. That gray just kind of means we're looking pretty near normal as far as precip goes, which means hopefully no big snowstorms to forecast, at least here locally, but of course you guys will be the first to know. Okay, no other questions coming on in. The time now is 6:13. I'll have the latest information about when we're getting above freezing and how much snow to expect this upcoming Tuesday. That's all coming up tonight on Fox 19 now at 10 o'clock. But for now, signing off here in Queensgate, I'm meteorologist Erin Ashley. Have a great rest of your Saturday.